The power rankings on CBS Sports came out, and Pete Prisco put them out, and it has things like the Jets rising, which makes some sense. Aaron Rodgers should be back. Joe Burrow, same deal. And the Cowboys dropping. A lot of people think the Cowboys are not going to be close to what they've been.
Mm-hmm.
They were a top 10 team last year. Now they flame out in the playoffs all the time. But the Cowboys lost some personnel and didn't really add anybody, even though Jerry Jones said they were going to be all in. So he's got the Cowboys ranked 13th.
Dropped 7 spots.
Which would still be a playoff team, right? But got the Cowboys sliding. But we wanted to get into where he has the Commanders. And if you think they should be this low, he has the Commanders 31st. The only team below the Commanders, according to Pete Prisco and CBS Sports, is the Carolina Panthers.
You know what?
800-636-1067. Do you think the Commanders are the second worst team in the NFL? He has the Giants ahead of them.
Yep.
He has the Patriots ahead of them.
The Broncos, who are awful, and no Russ Wilson there.
Now, the Broncos finished 8-9 last year, so I can understand that. But
they might have a rookie quarterback.
But the Patriots were a 4-win team last year, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
4-13.
And who knows who's going to be starting for them?
I'm initially offended. My gut instinct is, even though Pete has been weirdly somewhat positive on the Commanders at times over the last couple of years, that his true colors are coming out here. True colors.
But what's funny is he gave them a high grade on their draft.
I guess the idea is you can only get so
much better.
Maybe he doesn't love what they did in free agency or whatever's left over.
I just think that their roster.
Regime.
I think their roster overall, and I don't know how good Sanders or Daniels is going to be, but I think their roster overall is much better than 31 out of 32.
I hope.
I mean,
but
who
if
knows?
you think about it, we didn't really. I mean, okay, you add Eckler, so if he's let's say if he's 75% of what he was, that should be an improvement.
Should be an upgrade for.
If he's 80%,
I think he's going to be good,
and your receiving game.
I think he's going to be a factor.
They didn't really add receivers, right?
Just
drafted kid McCaffrey.
Olamide is Zacchaeus, but he's like a 5th or 6th wide out on your team.
The tight end will be a rookie. I mean, I have zero expectations of Zach Ertz. I don't know why. I don't even know why they signed him.
I think if he's healthy,
veteran guy.
I think if he's healthy,
played for Kingsbury.
He could be a mentor to
But I mean, if he caught 20 balls, that might be a good year.
I think if he's healthy, he's going to have more than 20. But I wouldn't expect more than 40 or 45 tops. That's the high end.
Defensively, I don't know. I don't know what to think there. I don't think we have a great pass rush.
Added a lot of DBs.
We improved that. We improved our linebackers.
Added some DNs.
But you did bring in 3 edge guys. Now, are those 3 edge guys as good as what Montez Sweat was for the first half of the season? Probably not.
Yeah, so they brought in what? The guy from Dallas? Who else?
Dorrance Armstrong from Dallas.
Yeah.
They brought in Farrell, Cleveland Farrell from San Francisco.
That guy's got
so 2 guys from Dallas.
Yeah, but the Cleveland Farrell guy's been a low-impact guy. But he's a role player.
He's a depth guy.
But a role player.
Yeah.
I'm not dismissing him, but
yeah,
it's
but
not
the
like
second
he's a
half
stud.
of the season, I know some people thought that they were going to do more with less. The second half of the season proved that to be incorrect because Hill didn't do much.
It's true.
James Smith-Williams didn't do much.
But the previous
all the guys
year
they
did. That was what was strange about it. I didn't think it was a leap. The previous year they did. When Chase went out, those guys stepped up and played well. But you're right. They didn't.
I think coaching's a factor. I think this team's going to be better because of the coaching.
Coaching was so bad.
Especially on the offensive side.
31 is low, but I don't see how you could realistically rank them much above 25 to 27. I think that would be that's them hitting their ceiling.
Maybe until proven otherwise. Until
Before
proven
they play
otherwise.
a game, that ranking makes sense.
You might be right on
but
that.
It was kind of touched on what we were talking about a couple breaks ago. I feel like an optimistic, very good season, pretty darn good would be 8 or 9 wins. That would be really good. When I saw 7, I was like, oh, that's the real bottom end of improvement for me. That's the low end of improvement. Barely passable. If you win 5-6 games, you still suck.
Yeah, but going from 4 to 7 wins, I don't know the percentage that
I can't.
is.
I don't think it's that
like
hard.
70%.
I don't think it's that hard though. I don't think it's that hard because 4 is nothing and 7.
4 is dreadful.
7 is pedestrian. There's nothing special about 7.
Nothing special, but it's a huge improvement.
Like I'm sure
over 4.
Dan Quinn would if you got him in a private room and said, "Hey, you can have between 8 and 10 wins," he would take that in year 1.
Oh yeah,
all day long.
Yes,
he would love
that. That's
great progress.
That's my goal.
You're flirting with the playoffs. That means Jaden Daniels hits.
If we go 7 and 10, it's kind of like, Unless now the only good news would be is if every game's now I could accept it if every game's exciting,
right?
And we're just choking them away at the end, and Daniels is running around like crazy, and making great throws. Like I could accept it. I'm kind of actually expecting that. Maybe I'm stupid. I'm expecting Jaden Daniels to be a highlight reel.
I hope that's the case. I hope you're right.
And maybe I'm crazy. Maybe they're just going to really limit his exposure, do the opposite of what they did with Howe, where they just threw him to the Wolves. But I'm expecting Daniels to be a highlight reel.
I would expect Kingsbury is going to have a much better plan and a safer plan for Jaden Daniels than Bieniemy, whatever plan that was Bieniemy had.
Well, we went through the numbers with Kyler in his first year. They weren't outrageous, right? They were modest numbers. So
yes, his touchdown numbers were low. His total yards were low, and he played in all 16 games. I think the turnaround is going to be greater than what most people expect. And I know that the Houston Texans is the outlier, but I've brought it up many times. The Colts also had a pretty significant turnaround. Finished one game shy of making the playoffs. They were dreadful the year before. Now, they had rookie quarterback only for part of the time, and then they turned to
Minshew.
Gardner Minshew, who's now with the Raiders, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Gardner Minshew probably going to be the starter for the Raiders. So I think it's more than just like a one-team outlier. I think every season there's a couple teams that rise up, and I think they're going to benefit from Dallas sliding down, the Giants. I know a lot of people praise the Giants draft, but it's still Daniel Jones.
Well, I'm not high on that.
Is there buzz starting?
And they don't have Saquon Barkley.
That Drew Lock might overtake Daniel Jones. Like I'm starting to hear whispers that it could be almost like a competition in camp.
I don't believe
which
that.
is weird because
I don't believe that.
I would be surprised.
When Drew Lock signed with the Giants, he said he was one of the reasons he signed with them was he was told he could compete.
Like I just don't see him winning the job.
Everybody
I wouldn't be shocked if they opened it up to a competition to at least see what Drew Lock has. Like that's how mediocre Daniel Jones has been.
Yeah.
Outside of that 1 year that they got on a run and went to the playoffs and won a game.
Yeah. 800-636-1067. I want to hear from you. Pete Prisco has the Commanders post-draft. We're kind of assessing where we are right now post-draft as the second worst team in the NFL. That seems drastically low to rank them 31st based on what they did in free agency and what they did in the draft. I'm looking at another CBS Sports poll. This is from Chris Trapasso, and he graded every one of their picks. You want to hear what the grades are? Individual picks? Jaden Daniels, A. Johnny Newton, A+.
Yep.
Mike Sandersdale, B+. Ben Sinnott, A+. Brandon Coleman, A. Luke McCaffrey, B+. Now you get to the fifth round. Jordan McGee, A-. Dominique Hampton, B-. The guy they got with the last pick, A-. Overall, this is Chris Trapasso. He says, GM Adam Peters began his tenure in Washington with the bang. He goes on to say, he goes through them. Those are all plus athletes with clean film who excel in their specific roles. Grade A. So he gave him an A in the draft.
I've never heard so many A's.
There's a lot of A's there.
That's crazy.
Go down every team. I guarantee you it says that about almost every team.
Not really. I mean, I go in the next team, gave him a B. The team before that, B+.
All right, those are still good grades.
Team before that, B+.
Well, it's hard to give somebody a bad grade unless maybe you had no picks or something.
Grant and Danny had a guy on from PFF. I can't remember his name. It was not Trevor Sikkim. It was another PFF guy who said that Johnny Newton was the steal of the draft. They said that dude, no chance he should have been in the second round.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's why they took him.
It was a ridiculous just gift for the
It wasn't
Commanders
a
to take
glaring
him.
need.
The fact that he had
Right.
like a Jones fracture in his foot, he was like, big deal. You get the surgery, you rehab it, you're healed. He said this guy's a monster, and he's also playing with a chip on his shoulder because
everybody passed
everybody passed on him in the first round, and he's out to just wreak havoc.
And it's
So
a future.
love
I mean,
to hear
he'll
that.
obviously be a factor this year, but it's a future play because, again, Jonathan Allen, you don't know if he's going to be here
Right.
after
Definitely.
this year.
Yeah, but
100%.
there's still a development process for these rookies to have impact on wins. I mean, I'm looking at these draft grades from, it says A minus, A minus, A minus, B plus. Those are the 2023 grades for the Carolina Panthers.
Right. And that's all
And they won
based
how many
off of
games?
Bryce
They
Young.
won, what, 2
They won
games?
two. 2-15.
Man, what a brutal season. And they're in.
Think about
most
how
likely
hard
in
it
for
is.
another one, too.
How hard it is to only win 2 games in the NFL. It's
Like-
hard to do.
Like the Panthers are sitting around saying, "Can we get to 5 this year?"
Yeah.
It's probably like if they're being realistic, can we get to 5 or maybe 6? That's probably their ceiling.
But I don't know. I think they're much better than 31 just based on the roster.
I do too.
That's just on paper.
But I don't know where you realistically could
It comes
project
down to
them.
Daniels.
I think you could realistically, I think their minimum should be 7 wins. If put it this way, if they win 4 wins again, I would be okay with firing everyone.
Yeah.
4 wins is
They're going to be better than 4, but yeah, I would
2
agree.
is reprehensible.
If you stay relatively healthy, 7 wins I would think that's pretty easy to get to.
Evie, if they won 2 games,
It's a very it's a league with
parity.
Parity.
Yeah.
I can't word find. It's a league with parity.
Yep.
Evie, if they won 2 games, I would fire Dan Quinn after 1 season.
Well,
No.
I would not.
You can't
but
do that.
It wouldn't be a great look.
Just
I
for
would
a hot
not.
take, I'm with you.
You act like it doesn't happen in the NFL.
You're
Who was that donk?
coached.
Who was
Yeah.
the donk that coached Denver for like 12 games?
That happens with generally with poor ownership.
Oh,
Who was the
Hackett.
donk?
Hackett.
Hackett. Would you
Hackett.
kept him around for a second season? Sometimes you got to cut the
Well,
cord.
hold on. What did Jimmy Johnson do the one year with Aikman? Were they like 1 in 15?
1 in
Yeah,
15.
I think their one win was against Skinnies.
Right.
1 in
From what I
15 beat the
remember.
Skins.
Like
Right. So we would have
1989.
made a mistake firing
Yeah.
Jimmy for winning.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fire Dan Quinn if he puts in a 2 and 15 sticker.
Don't put him
He'll
up
be
there
on
with
the
the
hot
Hall of
seat.
Famer.
I'm just saying. Listen, I'm with you.
Jimmy
If we
Johnson was totally revamping the team.
I know. Well, that's what they'll argue. That's what they'll argue.
Hold on. That's exactly what they're doing. They're revamping the team. 43
I
new
know,
players.
but if Jaden Daniels. Now, I think that year, Troy was getting starts with the Walsh kid. Like it was weird. Like they were even acting like maybe the Walsh kid would maybe even overtake him at some point. Right? They were pressuring Troy because he wasn't
Steve
playing
Walsh?
great.
Steve
Yes.
Walsh,
Yeah.
from Miami.
If Jaden Daniels wins one game, it's in 2024. It's a huge disaster.
Impossible. That's physically impossible for them to win one game. Based on
Aikman won one game. If they win one game,
I don't see them bottoming out like that.
I don't
That
either.
would be a huge disappointment.
All right,
But
Jimmy
still
Johnson
not fireable.
was 1 in 15, and the year before that, they were 3 and 13.
Jimmy was.
Not sure. JP would have fired Jimmy
No,
Johnson.
that was probably Barry Switzer. That was probably
No,
Barry
Switzer was
came
after.
That was
Switzer was
whoever. That wasn't Jimmy. That might have been Landry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe he took over
Landry.
a bad situation.
Yeah. All right.
Well, remember, Aikman in his rookie year, he didn't play the full season,
No, because they were going back and
Walsh.
forth with Walsh.
but he had a horrible year.
Horrible year.
If Jaden Daniels has a year like Aikman and has 18 picks in 11 games, I mean, you're going to go, well, bust.
Well, it's kind of like what Lawrence did.
But you can't
Kind
do
of like
that.
what Lawrence did
I
his
know,
first year.
but you can't. You got to give him
All
3
right,
years.
800-636-1067. I know we got to go to break. What's where are you on like sort of projections and all that?